Welcome to the University of Maryland Extension 4-H New. This orientation will cover the following topics: general knowledge, and 4-H program overview. The mission of the Maryland 4-H program is to provide a supportive and inclusive setting for all youth to reach their fullest potential in a diverse society. Providing youth the opportunity to learn, practice, and master life skills in order to help them grow into competent, confident, connected, and contributing people of character is an important part of our mission. This mission is delivered to youth through community-focused and research-based experiential educational programs delivered in any of the following formats. First, clubs. As a 4-H volunteer, you will serve at the discretion and under the supervision of your county or city 4-H team. All of the 4-H faculties, staff, volunteers, and programs from the 23 counties and Baltimore City are part of the Maryland 4-H program. All 4-H faculty staff collaborate and support each other and are guided programmatically by the state 4-H office team, which we'll talk about later. You'll also be part of the University of Maryland Extension. Each county and city has an extension office where the 4-H program is housed, along with other extension programs, which we'll discuss later. And finally, 4-H is a part of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources at the University of Maryland. The college has three components, which includes academics, research, and extension, which is where 4-H connects. Figure out how we're all connected. Let's start with the University of Maryland Extension, or UME. Every county and Baltimore City has a UME office, which is home to the local 4-H program and your county 4-H team, as mentioned previously. UME is a department in the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources at the University of Maryland, which gives us a connection to a land-grant university created by the first Morrill Act in 1862. Land-grant universities were established to allow U.S. citizens of average means the opportunity of higher education, which focused on teaching agriculture and mechanical arts. Through the Smith-Lever Act of 1914, the Cooperative Extension Service was created, which is a partnership of the land-grant university system with federal, state, and local governments designed to address public needs by providing non-formal education and learning opportunities for farmers, communities, youth, and families. These partners provide guidance, support, and resources to the Extension Service to provide programming in the local communities. In Maryland, the programs are provided through Family and Consumer Sciences, Environmental and Natural Resources, Agriculture and Food Systems, and 4-H Youth Development. Traditional and historical base of 4-H is in agriculture, animal science, and home economic type programs, which started at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. Educators were instrumental in developing what is now the 4-H Club program, which began as a response to the needs of the young people to learn life skills and the needs of the community to have skilled workers. What we know as the 4-H Club program began in 1902 with groups of youth learning from an educator about a specific topic in a club, such as the Tomato Club in Ohio or Corn Growing Club in Iowa. It grew into Boys and Girls Club during the first decade of the 20th century and became more formalized after the Smith-Lever Act in 1914 and the creation of Extension Service, where 4-H is housed and supported by the county agents and educators. 4-H has grown from the traditional foundation and now encompasses a wide variety of educational projects available to all youth, including aerospace, animal science, horticulture, engineering, expressive arts, robotics, and much more. 4-H programming is designed to be hands-on and experiential learning based and aligned with the 4-H mission mandates of citizenship, healthy living, and science. 4-H is the oldest and largest youth development organization in the nation, reaching over 6 million youth annually nationwide. Maryland is home to nearly 8,000 4-H members, over 4,000 volunteers, and is proud to reach nearly 75,000 youth annually through all program delivery modes, including clubs, camps, and outreach. As a 4-H volunteer, we hope you'll help new members learn the basics of 4-H. What you see here is the official 4-H emblem. It, along with the 4-H name, is protected by the Secretary of Agriculture through 18 U.S.C. 707, which is a statement in the United States Code that outlines its protection. You'll notice that code at the base or side of the lower right-hand leaf of the clover. Please note that there are specific guidelines to using the 4-H name and emblem. Our name 4-H is represented by the 4 white H's, one on each leaf of the clover. These H's stand for head, heart, hands, and health, and are referenced in the pledge, and later we'll see how they connect to the 4-H skill wheel. From the emblem, you can tell that the 4-H colors are green and white. Green, which is nature's most common color, represents youth, life, and growth. White symbolizes purity and high ideals. The 4-H motto is to make the best better. The 4-H slogan is learn by doing. Finally, the 4-H pledge, visually demonstrated in the photo in the screen, is said at every 4-H meeting and the beginning of many 4-H events. As you learn more about 4-H, our programs, and positive youth development practices, you may start seeing connections with these basic tenets of 4-H, or at least how they are woven through the fabric of our program. Volunteer system and process. All 4-H clubs and programs are part of your county or city 4-H youth development program. Many volunteers serve as club leaders, but volunteers also serve at camps, outreach programs, and fairs. All 4-H clubs, programs, activities, and events are under the purview of the county or city 4-H team. Volunteers serve at the discretion and under the supervision of their 4-H team. The 4-H team has decision authority on county issues, and Maryland 4-H program is decision authority for policy issues. Volunteers should work closely with their 4-H team and should report all questions, concerns, and/or needs to them. 4-H programs are part of your local University of Maryland Extension or UME office. There's a UME office in every county across Maryland and in Baltimore City. UME is a statewide non-formal education system with the mission to develop, integrate, and deliver relevant and accurate research-based knowledge and educational programs. That's why you found your 4-H program in the University of Maryland Extension office in your county, and why your local 4-H team is supervised by a UME Area Extension Director. Area Extension Director, or AED, oversees the administrative functions of the UME office for a cluster of at least 3 counties in a close geographical area. They can be a resource to you as a volunteer, but all questions or concerns or issues should be brought first to your county 4-H team. All county 4-H programs are supported by the Maryland State 4-H program housed at the Maryland 4-H Center in College Park, where a team of specialists and support staff provide statewide leadership and support to all areas of 4-H, including human sciences, animal science, professional development, research and evaluation, curricular system and program development, volunteerism, and risk management. The Maryland 4-H program is decision authority for policy issues. The The final link in your chain of command is our state 4-H program leader, who is also an assistant director for the University of Maryland Extension. He or she is a resource for all 4-H faculty, staff, and volunteers, and helps to set the framework and programmatic goals for the Maryland 4-H program. All volunteers serve at the discretion and under the supervision of the county or city 4-H team, who are UMD employees who manage, direct, and coordinate all 4-H programming in their county or city. They also serve as volunteer managers who supervise, manage, and utilize all 4-H volunteers. They have the authority to attend any 4-H club, activity, or program conducted by the volunteer and are the first link in a volunteer's chain of command. Any question, concern, problem, or idea a volunteer has should be communicated with their 4-H team. Certified UME 4-H volunteers are those that have completed the volunteer process and are appointed to serve with youth on behalf of the UME and 4-H programs. The volunteer process includes submitting an application to your local extension office, which initiates a screening process including a reference check and background check. You should have been or will be interviewed by your 4-H team and are currently attending the orientation that provides a foundation of knowledge to build upon and a consistent understanding of expectations for all certified UME 4-H volunteers. Additional training may be required depending on the specific role you will assume, but you should be notified by your 4-H team on additional training opportunities as needed. The last step to your process and the step that will certify you as a UME 4-H volunteer is a volunteer appointment, which includes all of the official paperwork, which are an appointment agreement, position description, and adult code of conduct. Volunteer appointment agreement is like a contract, and it identifies what county and whom on the 4-H team you report to and your appointment term. It also includes clear expectation of you as a volunteer, including compliance, confidentiality, and non-conflict of interest information, as well as term of service, which will be year with an option for renewal. You should receive a copy of your signed appointment agreement for your files. Please be sure to read it before signing it. Compliance and professionalism. It has been mentioned that volunteers serve at the discretion and under the supervision of the county or city 4-H team. You can find a statement in the appointment agreement along with a clarification of where the decision authority for county and policy issues lie. Confidentiality. Volunteers may have access to certain sensitive information about other individuals. Volunteer will be held personally liable for the unauthorized use of sensitive information, which includes medical, insurance, financial, and other personal and confidential data. Non-conflict of interest. This statement clearly lays out the expectation that no volunteer should financially benefit from their connection with the 4-H program. Volunteers should not promote private or personal interest in conjunction with volunteer duties. Position description will include the specific role, expectations, time requirement, and benefits for the volunteer position you wish to fulfill as a volunteer. There are a number of positions available, including club or organizational leader, project or activity leader, as well as superintendent in some counties, and other varied roles like camp staff, livestock skeleton coach, etc. A volunteer should have a position description for each specific role they assume for the 4-H program. For example, a volunteer that is a club leader, camp staff, and a state chaperone for a national trip will have 3 different position descriptions as each role has different duties. A copy of your signed position description or descriptions should be provided to you. You should read them carefully before signing, especially the duties, as they will be connected to the personal liability protection you will receive and we'll talk about when we get to the Maryland Tort Claims Act. The 4-H Code of Conduct provides the basic behavior guidelines expected of anyone participating and/or attending a 4-H program, event, or activity. There's a youth code of conduct and an adult code of conduct. Both are based on the Character Counts 6 pillars of character development. The front of the document outlines what we expect to see from all youth and adults and gives specific examples of how to demonstrate trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. On the back of the Code of Conduct Agreement, you'll find a list of prohibited items or actions that could result in sanctions if a youth or volunteer were found guilty of possessing prohibited items such as an illegal or illicit drug, or if they were to act in an unbecoming manner such as using physical discipline or punishment while acting in their role as a 4-H volunteer. Also included in the 4-H Code of Conduct is the Maryland 4-H Disciplinary Policy and Procedure, which are the guidelines used by the 4-H team and programs when a youth and/or volunteer acts against the Code of Conduct. Sanctions may be levied if your actions jeopardize the health or safety of yourself, youth, other people, or the integrity of 4-H. Although each situation may be handled based on the severity of the offense, as a volunteer, you serve at the discretion of your county 4-H team, and sanctions may be range from a formal letter of reprimand up to removal from the 4-H program. The disciplinary policy and procedures contained on the back of the Maryland 4-H Code of Conduct is a basic guideline of how sanctions should be handled by your supervisor, which are similar to how sanctions should be handled with youth. Once you're approved to serve, your 4-H team will assist you in creating a profile in 4-H Online if you do not already have one. If you have a child in 4-H, this site should look familiar. This system is not only used for enrollment, but is an integral part of our communication network. Your volunteer appointment agreement is valid until the end of the current program year. To remain active, volunteers will be required to renew their volunteer role on an annual basis through 4-H Online, which will include questions about the previous year's service, electronic signature of the renewal appointment agreement, and Code of Conduct. The renewal process may also include an evaluation, update training, and occasionally will involve rescreening background check or re-signing of active position descriptions. You may terminate your volunteer status at any time, but we ask that you notify your supervising 4-H team of your intentions. Again, as a volunteer, you serve at the discretion of the 4-H program. Volunteering for a 4-H program is a privilege and not a right. UME may terminate a volunteer's appointment prior to the date specified on the appointment agreement or choose to not renew a volunteer during the annual renew process. Notification will be sent by the supervising 4-H team if a volunteer status is terminated, changed, or not renewed. Positive youth development practices. As a 4-H volunteer, you may be working with a whole range of youth varying in age from 5 to 19 years old. 4-H youth are categorized by their age with some variation in activities available to them at the different age levels. Please keep in mind that 4-H age rather than actual age is used in the following categories, as well as for many program registration and most competitive 4-H events. A member's 4-H age is their age on January 1st of the current year. Clovers must be at least 5 and not over 7. These youth are usually in pre-K to first grade. They are not allowed to show animals in 4-H shows and typically are ineligible for camp. Programming should be age appropriate and focus on non-competitive activities. Juniors must be between the ages of 8 and 10, which is approximately 2nd to 4th grade. They're able to participate in nearly all 4-H programs, from clubs to camps and everything in between. Junior members may have lower expectations when it comes to record books, such as a shorter essay, or may be encouraged to take on lower level leadership roles as club officers. Intermediates are at least 11 and no more than 13, which means they are your upper elementary to middle school age youth. They are able to participate in all 4-H programming. Juniors and intermediates make up the bulk of Maryland 4-H membership, which means many intermediates may assume high-level leadership roles within the club program and are encouraged to participate in introductory leadership opportunities in the camping program. Seniors are between the ages of 14 and 18 and typically in high school. They are able to participate in all 4-H programming, have a variety of higher level competition opportunities with state level team to national events, as well as scholarship, leadership, and travel opportunities. Youth development is the acquisition of attitudes, competencies, values, and social skills that will carry youth forward into successful adulthood, and it's designed to focus on the positive outcome we desire for young people, not the negative outcomes we hope to prevent. The youth development approach considers the whole young people, not just a single characteristic or problem. 4-H volunteers should be able to support youth development by providing the following in all the programs they assist with: physical and psychological safety, appropriate structure, supportive relationships, opportunities to belong, positive social norms, support for efficacy and mattering, opportunities for skill building, and integration of family, school, and community efforts. Our effort can help youth develop into a competent, confident, connected, and contributing people of character who are fully prepared and fully engaged in their communities. When working with youth in the 4-H program, it is important to keep in mind that while you might have a variety of ages in a particular program, certain characteristics are common to children. While it is extremely important to remember that every child is unique and special in their own right, some needs and interests are universal to all children to ensure successful development. Regardless of the age of youth you work with, or the type of program you assist to provide, we ask that you help us by providing for its youth the following opportunities: experience and positive self-concept, experience success in what we attempt to do, become increasingly independent, develop and accept themselves and others, give and receive attention, experience adventure, and be accepted by people of different ages, peers, as well as those in authority. The essential elements that you see here are critical to effective youth development. The 4-H program uses them extensively as a foundation of all of our programs. As you can see, these elements are broken into 4 categories, which are sometimes referred to as the pillars, but can also be seen as opportunities we hope all youth have a chance to experience and develop through the 4-H program. For example, we hope that all 4-H have the opportunity to belong to the Maryland 4-H program, which you can assist with by being that caring adult and by creating an inclusive and safe environment. We ask that you be aware of these elements to help you ensure that the experiences, programs, and activities you assist with and/or offer on behalf of the Maryland 4-H program intentionally offers opportunities for hands-on experiential learning in environments where youth feel safe, can master new skills and abilities, and develop confidence they need to contribute to their local communities in a positive way. The Maryland 4-H Development Program provides a supportive setting for all youth to reach their fullest potential. Youth learn beneficial cognitive and life skills through community-focused research-based experiential educational programs. Every 4-H program, project, or activity has the youth learning one or more life skills as its primary purpose. The 4-H life skill wheel pictured here, developed at Iowa State University, is useful in life skill identification and development. It may be familiar to any of you who are parents, as it is used in the 4-H record book project sheets to help youth visualize the skills they practiced and or mastered while working on a particular project. As a 4-H volunteer, you are encouraged to utilize this when working with youth, designing a program, or mentoring a club officer. If we keep in mind our goals, life skill development, it may be easier to work through difficult situations and remain positive when working with youth. When working with youth, it is important to provide age-appropriate activities and opportunities. Since each volunteer has a different experience working with youth, the ages and stages of 4-H youth development can be used to help prepare you to work. Whether working with an age group you have little experience with, or to refresh you to better serve the youth in an annual program, this is a beneficial resource. The Ages and Stages document developed by the Missouri 4-H program breaks youth into 4 age groups that are aligned with our 4 4-H age groups. They are early childhood, which will be our Clover, middle childhood, which will be our juniors, young teens, which will be our intermediates, and teens, which will be our seniors. Ages and stages of 4-H youth development provides physical, emotional, social, and intellectual characteristics that are typical of youth in each age category and implications for volunteers working with the age group. For example, a Clover age youth typically has better large motor control than the fine motor control, meaning the muscles in their legs and arms are usually stronger and easier for them to control than the muscles in their fingers. This may make cutting or sewing harder for a younger child, but a suggestion to help you work with Clover youth age will be to provide a number of items for them to practice on to help develop their skills. The best thing you can do as you begin to work with youth through the 4-H program is to review this document prior to your program to help you prepare. Organizational standards, program, extension, and university. Best practices that all volunteers should abide by. Whenever possible, avoid being alone with a single child. Working with youth in groups of 2 or more is a good rule of thumb, and never allow parents to drop off a child and leave if you will be alone with the child. Ask the parent to stay until additional people arrive. There should always be at least 2 certified UME 4-H volunteers or faculty or staff or a combination of these groups at all 4-H meetings, events, activities, or programs. Parents and other adults can assist but cannot take on the supervision responsibilities or other duties granted to certified volunteers. It is beneficial to hold your events and activities at public meeting spaces, such as your local UME office. Be mindful of the room setup to ensure visibility of all throughout a program. If you ever go on an overnight trip, be sure that your youth shares rooms with youth. Never discipline children by use of physical punishment or failing to provide the necessities of care, such as food, water, or shelter. Find ways to manage their behavior, such as use of timeout or reinforcement of expectations. There should also be no physical, mental hazing or secret initiations. Keep topics and conversations age appropriate. This applies to everyone at the event, meeting, or activity, adults and youth. Redirect conversations as needed and remind them of the code of conduct if necessary. Respect their personal space and privacy. If instruction requires touching, ask and take clues from body language. Don't force a hug or physical contact and be protective of yourself. Give a side hug or a handshake instead. Be careful socializing with 4-H members under the age of 18 outside of extension programs. While working with youth, accidents will happen, and as a volunteer, you may need to tend to their wounds. If you have had first aid training, this information will be quite familiar. Even if you have not had first aid training, you can and should provide first aid if needed, but must follow these universal precautions. Universal precautions is intended to prevent the transmission of hepatitis, HIV infections, and other contagious diseases by avoiding contact with blood and bodily fluids. Universal precautions include the following practices. Have individual help with first aid as able. Give them a gauze pad to staunch the flow of blood while you put on a glove. Use protective barriers when providing first aid. This includes gloves, but may also include masks, eyewear, and suits. Remove gloves when they become torn or contaminated. Package and dispose of contaminated first aid materials to avoid further contact. Avoid any possible cross-contamination avenues, such as food storage, garbage can use, etc. Wash hands and other skin surfaces immediately following the contact with human blood or other potentially infectious materials. You are recommended to always have a first aid kit handy when you are working with youth, and please note that even if you are not CPR or first aid certified, your assistance in emergency situation is protected under the Good Samaritan law. University of Maryland Extension's commitment is to non-discriminatory practices and to the public's right to receive the benefits of UME programs and services. UME communicates their dedication to equal opportunity and access to programs and facilities through the affirmative action statement on your screen. As a 4-H volunteer, you are expected to abide by this statement to help create a positive, inclusive, and safe environment for all youth. If you feel that you may not be able to work with a specific group, please have a discussion with your local 4-H team. If you feel you need training on how to work with any particular group of people or are not sure if you can support the affirmative action statement, please notify your 4-H team and they can assist and guide you. Please remember, as a UME 4-H volunteer, you are a representative of the 4-H program, the University of Maryland Extension, and the University of Maryland. You are the face of the program and as such need to support and represent the program according to our affirmative action statement. The Maryland 4-H program is committed to providing all opportunities for participation as per our affirmative action statement. No UME 4-H volunteer or youth is to be excluded or denied the benefit of 4-H programs solely by the reason of disability. We are committed to and bound by law, the American with Disabilities Act, or ADA, to consider and provide reasonable accommodations and alternative in the 4-H program's policies and procedures to provide children and volunteers with safe and successful experiences when notified about special needs of the individual participants. A reasonable accommodation may include providing interpreter services to a deaf fair exhibitor during a 4-H animal show, or providing program materials in Braille for someone who is blind. Your county 4-H team can assist in making these arrangements as needed. Other accommodations may include restructuring the event, modifying rules, adjusting regulations, and providing readers. Program notification is often included on registration form to help prepare for any accommodations needed at a specific program, event, or activity. You can provide notification for individuals with special needs and should work with your county city 4-H team in making sure the programs, meetings, and activities you provide are meeting the expectations of the ADA Act. The Maryland Tort Claims Act is one of the benefits provided to UME 4-H volunteers. It may provide some peace of mind when working with youth through the 4-H program and will definitely provide you support as long as you meet the requirements spelled out in the Act. As we all know, when working with people, situations may occur where someone may be hurt due to something someone else does. These situations may lead to a lawsuit against the individual or organization. The Maryland Tort Claims Act is a state law providing liability protection for employees and volunteers while working within your scope of duties. To understand what this means to you, let's start with what is a tort. A tort is a wrong that harms an individual. This wrong can be a result from a particular action taken by the volunteer, something a volunteer does, whether or not intentional, or an omission or failure to act when there is a duty to do so. To qualify for protection, the following must be true. The individual accused, charged with the incident, is a certified UME 4-H with current volunteer paperwork on file with their county 4-H team, including an appointment agreement and job description. The incident in question must have occurred within the scope of volunteers' public duties. The incident must have been committed without malice or gross negligence. Let's review and define to make sure we're all on the same page. Scope of duties. As we covered before, the volunteer duties you are assigned are documented in the volunteer position description you will sign. Those are the duties you'll be covered under the Maryland Tort Claims Act. Any other things you do outside the scope will fall outside of the Maryland Tort Claims Act. You are encouraged to not act outside of your duties, but be aware that if you choose to do so, the liability falls solely onto you. Malice. Acting without probable cause or forming an improper motive, being influenced by hatred and spite, including deliberate and willful mischief, or as acting with reckless disregard for the truth or using unnecessary abusive language. An improper motivation that implies evil intent, which may be inferred from the intentional commission of wrongful act. If the act or omission on the part of the volunteer is done with malice, the volunteer will not be covered under the Tort Claims Act. Gross negligence is the conscious and voluntary disregard for the need to use reasonable care, which is likely to cause foreseeable grave injury or harm to persons, property, or both. Conduct that is extreme when compared with ordinary negligence. If the act of omission on the part of the volunteer is done with gross negligence, the volunteer will not be covered under the Tort Claims Act. For each volunteer, regardless of your particular position, you'll be working with youth, which brings with it the responsibility of being their advocate, especially in situations when you witness or observe signs of child abuse or neglect. Maryland law states that all Maryland citizens should report suspected abuse or neglect to the local Department of Social Services or to a local law enforcement agency. Ensuring the safety of Maryland's children is an obligation shared by all citizens and organizations. Child abuse is physical or mental injury or any act of sexual molestation or exploitation of a child under age 18. Some of the signs of physical abuse include unexplained bruises or a pattern of bruises, cuts or burns to the body, rope marks or burns, fractures, broken bones, welts, abrasions, bite marks, and puncture wounds. Signs of sexual abuse includes injury, pain, itching in general area, sexual knowledge or behavior inappropriate for a child's age, verbalization of sexual involvement or victimization, sexually inappropriate and or suggestive behavior, difficulty sitting or walking. Child neglect is failure to give proper care and attention to a child under age 18, including leaving a child unattended. Some of the signs of neglect includes patterns of poor hygiene, untreated serious medical problems, obvious malnutrition, child left unattended or without supervision, inadequate clothing for weather, child has a pattern of exhibiting withdrawn, shy, sad, fatigued behavior in addition to one or more of the other indicators. Logistics in reporting is as follows. First, remain calm. Know that you have people to call. You are not in this alone, and you are here for the youth. Listen to what the individual has to say without judgment. Try to hold a conversation in a private but public place. Try to get a second set of ears as applicable and appropriate. Only ask clarifying questions. And never promise you will not tell. And don't guarantee things will change. You're not investigating, and you are not gathering evidence. Trust the youth. You have to believe them, even if you think they are lying. Trust your instinct, and you don't get to make any judgment calls. Report through the chain of command. If you see it or you are told about it, you'll be involved in the reporting process as the initial witness. Volunteers are expected to report any suspicion of child abuse or neglect. You should report immediately, at least within 24 to 48 hours. Call 911 if a report comes from the current event or there is an imminent danger to you or the child. The police will manage the situation when they arrive and will report to Child Protective Services or tell you to report to Child Protective Services. Also report to your supervision, which may be your first step if the incident is not currently happening. Report to supervisor according to the chain of command. Volunteers should report to local faculty or staff supervising the program or county. Report your suspicions from your observations and interactions. Provide name of the victim or an alleged abuser. Report to Child Protective Services if report of abuse is not from your event or if there is a suspicion of abuse. A written report should be made within 48 hours of you knowing about the abuse. Remember to trust your instinct, but you should not make any specific judgment calls. Leave that up to the authorities. There are protections for reporting, including under the Maryland Family Law for those that report in good faith. You may also choose to report anonymously. Harassment is prohibited by university policy. Sexual harassment is a type of sex discrimination. It includes any unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other behaviors of sexual nature that may relate to employment, participation in educational programs, interference with academic or work performance, or create a hostile or offensive environment or non-sexual conduct which singles out a person for harassment because of gender. Formal complaints by or about UME volunteers can be reported to any university official. This includes 4-H team or AED. And this complaint should be filed with the Dean of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. The recipient of the complaint is required to contact the President's legal office. The legal office is responsible for ensuring that the complainant is advised about their options and that appropriate action is taken to resolve the complaint. If you are experiencing or witness sexual harassment, report it to your 4-H team. Following are prohibited on university property and as a part of university activities and are included in the 4-H Code of Conduct. All participants at official UME-sponsored activities and events are prohibited from possessing, using, and/or distributing illegal and/or illicit drugs, misusing and or abusing of prescription and over-the-counter drugs, possessing, consuming, and or distributing alcoholic beverages. Volunteers should also refrain from using tobacco, smokeless tobacco, and or tobacco substitutes in the presence of youth. Disciplinary action may be taken if a volunteer violates these expectations and may include sanction or termination. Resources and opportunities. There are a number of resources on the web that may come in handy as you become more involved as a UME certified 4-H volunteer. The University of Maryland Extension website is a great place to find information about your local county office, opportunities available, as well as information about your local 4-H program. The Maryland 4-H website is another great site to bookmark, as you will be able to access program information for all 4-H programs including animal science, environmental science, healthy living, international programs, military programs, expansion and outreach, science and youth adult partnerships. Shop 4-H, which is run by the National 4-H Council, is the place to purchase 4-H curriculum and items. It is accessible through the 4h.org website, which also houses a plethora of 4-H resources for volunteers as well as 4-H professionals. Please reach out to your local county 4-H office to finish any other requirements to enroll as UME certified volunteer. Thank you for your support and helping us make the best better.